What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to episode 16 of the Silver and Gold. I'm Josh,
And I'm Mike.
and we're coming to you about less than an hour now, Mike, from the conclusion of Monday Night Football, in which the Las Vegas Raiders defeated the Green Bay Packers. And I'm going to go ahead and let Mike just jump right into this. Mike, how are you feeling after this victory today or tonight?
I'm a little mixed. Um, a win is a win, and it's always a good feeling. Uh, I saw a lot of tweets, saying something along the lines of, it's nice, it's a good feeling to watch your defense win the game, and I think that Max Crosby was wrecking the game for the Packers all night,
Oh, man. Yeah.
but I wouldn't say that the Raiders defense won the game. I really think the Packers offense lost the game. That's what it felt like to me. That felt like an offense that is being led by a quarterback who has not done this for very long. He threw 3 picks. Two of them, well, the first pick was just boneheaded. I don't know what he saw. I don't think he was looking. I think he just threw the ball. The second one was a deflection from Marcus Peters. Another pretty questionable throw. And then the final one to end the game. That one was fine. When he threw the ball, when he made the decision to throw the ball, Christian Watson had Amik Robertson beat, and Robertson made a hell of a play to recover and get there and seal the game on the interception. But yeah, it just like I don't know. The Packers offense didn't look very efficient. They were missing Aaron Jones. Bakhtiari's out for the year at left tackle. I don't know. It just maybe I'm just being hard on the Raiders, and like I said, it is nice to see the Raiders defense really go out there and get it done. But I'd rather see this against the Chargers, you know, or the Steelers offense. I mean, 2 weeks ago, it's a complete difference, and I mean the difference at quarterback isn't really that much. I mean, up until this point, Jordan Love, at least for fantasy football, has been great, and Kenny Pickett not so much. Yet again, we made Kenny Pickett look great on Sunday Night Football in Vegas, and then Jordan Love looked pretty bad. You know, but the other quarterback on the other side of the field didn't look too good either. I thought Jimmy G did not have a good game. He made throws, I guess, when he needed to, but he also didn't.
Yeah.
At times. I mean, I'll get to his interception. But yes, the Raiders won, and the fan in me that is looking 5 years ahead from now wanted us to lose. But there's also the fan in me that wanted to win, and I'll get to my reasoning on why I would want to see them win, other than just because it's my team and I want to see them win. But there is a solid reason. But there are also very solid reasons, in my opinion, to not want to win, earn the first overall pick, and draft a guy whose name rhymes with Schmaleb Schmilliams.
You know, it's
So
funny. I was gonna say, does your reasoning rhyme with Rayla Berylliums?
pretty much.
Yeah.
So I took notes throughout the game. First note, based off of the first offensive play, Michael Mayer. It feels like he's finally progressing into a role on this offense, and I would like to see more. Austin Hooper's fine, but give me Michael Mayer on the field, like as much as you can. Is he the best run blocker? I don't think so, but he's a weapon, for Jimmy G. I noticed at some point in, I want to say the first quarter, but it might have been the second, that Thayer Munford took over for Jermaine Illuminor. Um, and at first, like there was nothing said, at least that I heard, but it turned out later I think Illuminor might have got hurt. I thought that Munford just took over because the offense started with 2 straight drives where we ended on, excuse me, third down sacks. Giving up third down sacks to Jimmy G, and it was very annoying to watch. So I wondered if they benched Illuminor for Munford because of that. Although I want to say at least one of them was on Colton Miller to Preston Smith, and I think the other one was on the left guard. I'm forgetting his name, number 66, Parham, right? Parham,
Mhm.
uh, their defensive tackle. So, I mean, it wasn't on Illuminor, so I think he just got hurt. Mumford came in, played solid. He did give up a big. It was either a tackle for loss or sack later to Rashawn Gary, but I also noticed some pass protection reps for Mumford where he beat Rashawn Gary. So early on in the game, Josh Jacobs could not get it going in the run game, just could not. Basically through the third quarter. And then finally in the fourth quarter, he got it going, and it looked good.
Mhm.
First half, basically absolutely no Devontae Adams. I didn't really understand, although, well, that's not true. I figured what was happening was the Packers finally got Hyrie Alexander back to play because he's been out a
Jair.
couple weeks. Jair, okay.
Yeah.
And I think they were, specifically putting him on Devontae, but also doubling, so not the best idea to throw it that direction unless Devontae's clearly open. And Jacoby Myers was just getting funneled the ball. And it made sense, and he's great. And I really, like, he is the one consistent, other than Devontae, he's the one consistent piece to this offense so far this season, Jacoby Myers. um, so now I'll get to the end of the first half. Minute and 40 seconds left. The Packers punt the ball. Or I should say they're about to. They get stopped on third down. They are lining up to punt. The moment the tackle was made and it was a clear punting situation, because it's not like it was 4th and 1, it was like 4th and 6 or 9 or whatever it was. I said out loud, I would call a timeout. I looked down and I saw that the Raiders had 2 timeouts. I said, I'd be calling a timeout right now. A minute and 40 left. But instead, Josh McDaniels allows the Packers to run that clock all the way down to about 3-4 seconds and then put the ball, giving them 55 seconds to go down and attempt to score on the Packers defense to end the half. Granted, the Raiders were receiving after the half, but still, like, come on. If the Raiders have one of the top 5 highest paid offenses in the league, that is a fact. You should be able to take a minute and 40, 2-minute offense, go down and score possibly a touchdown. Now, granted, I don't see Jimmy G as that guy, but still, right? If it's a top 5 paid offense with Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs, and company, you should be able to at least get 3. Now, with 55 seconds, they actually did get an opportunity to get a field goal, but it was blocked. Or at least almost blocked. I don't know. But
It
I
was
will say
tipped,
that
I think, by the pinky
fingertip,
of
yeah.
it was an offensive lineman that they had out there, I believe. I think that's what Joe Buck said.
Maybe. I know his number was 73, but I also noticed that they missed a leverage call. Again, kind of throwing it back to the Steeler game. He had his hand on the Raiders, I think, long snapper, and he was, leveraging himself higher. Like, you could see it clear as day in the replay. So that's the first half. I noticed some quotes in this game, some lip reading, and it was very fun. First off, somebody pointed out on Twitter, I didn't hear this probably because I was surrounded by family and stuff watching the game. There was a play where Jimmy G, probably early in the first quarter, Jimmy G's at the line of scrimmage and he yells, 58's the mic. And then you immediately hear him say, Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Yeah. So that was a good little hot mic moment. But then the next two are way more interesting to me. There was one where they caught Mark Davis. They show Mark Davis after the Raiders got the first interception. Oh gosh, the linebacker, 41. I'm forgetting his name. Spillane returned it to about like the 15-yard line. You're thinking it was like 3 minutes left in the half. It's like we're going to score another touchdown. We're going to go up 14-3 or whatever the score was. And they ended up only kicking a field goal. The camera pans to Mark Davis, and you see him clearly frustrated, and he says something, but obviously he's not mic'd up. I interpreted, like I played it back, I read his lips, and I read, "What are you guys doing?" That's what I read on his lips. I saw a lot of people
let me
on. I
find it.
saw
Let
a
me.
lot. Okay, yeah. I saw a lot of people on Twitter. That'd be great. Saw a lot of people on Twitter saying that they read, "We got a score," from his lips. I think it was, "What are you guys doing?"
I think he said, "What an asshole."
That was another one that people thought they said. I don't know
Okay.
what he'd be saying that for.
I don't know what he'd be saying that for, but
Unless it was maybe towards a ref.
here's Mark Davis and his alleged very young girlfriend.
Lead for Josh McDaniels, much to the chagrin of Mark Davis.
What are you guys doing?
No, look. What
What?
an asshole. Oh, no, hold on. I didn't get it.
Think water.
What?
What are you guys doing?
No, man, that's a hole right there.
Okay.
Or maybe what is that hold?
To the chagrin of Mark Davis.
I could see what an asshole.
Yeah.
So again, that was on. I want to say that was when they got fourth down and just kicked a field goal.
Yeah, dude. I think he said what an asshole.
I still think it's, "What are you guys doing?" Because he's shaking his head. He's upset. And then, I also understand, though, we got to score, or you guys got to score, or something like that. Anyways, something along those lines, right? But bear in mind, it was just after they got the interception, and then 3 straight plays, field goal. Didn't score a touchdown off the interception. And then the final quote, Jimmy Garoppolo throws an interception, and then the cornerback, goes out of bounds or whatever. The camera immediately pans to Josh McDaniels, and this was not mistakable to me. McDaniels said, "The fuck are you looking at, dude?" That is exactly what he said. I guarantee it. If you could find it, that'd be great. I kind of doubt it. And then apparently immediately after that, they probably showed the Packers' first offensive play, and then it panned back to McDaniels on the sideline with Jimmy G, iPad in hand. And apparently he was chewing Jimmy G out on the sideline, just in his ear. So, I shouldn't say chewing him out, but, really giving him an earful.
Let me see if I can't find it.
Okay, you go ahead and try to find it. I'll keep going. Malcolm Kuntz got a knee injury. He was questionable to return, but I'm pretty sure he didn't. I watched the play over because they immediately went to commercial. Kind of looked like he dislocated his knee. I'm not sure. I hope it's no ligament damage. He could have just twisted it up and he's fine, but I hope he's okay because he's been doing, when he gets on the field, he gets pressure. So, yeah, I hope he's okay. Soon after that, Trevon Merrick had a couple of nice plays back to back where he stopped a Jordan Love scramble, forced a third down, and then on third down got the drive stopping tackle to force fourth down. I want to say they went for it on like 4th and 1 or 4th and 2, and they got it, but still, it was good for Trevon Merrick. And then a couple last notes. Josh McDaniels using timeouts at inopportune times. Between not using the timeout when I thought they should have at the end of the first half, and then also being forced to use a timeout at the end of the third quarter in the red zone.
Yep.
When we shouldn't be running out of time.
Yeah, the
what
clock was
was the
winding
issue?
down, and
Yeah,
the play clock was winding down, and it was just like, why aren't they
I think
lined up and set? Like what? Yeah, like you said, what is the issue?
yeah, and I think at the time we might have been tied 10-10. So, like theoretically, this game could have gone a completely different way, and at the end of the game, we might be the ones with the ball trying to score the game-winning points, and we're down a timeout because of a third quarter kerfluffle. You know, so that's just annoying. Um, And then again, Amik Robertson had a great game. I mean, he was covering Christian Watson quite a bit, and there were a couple replays where you can see the height difference between Watson, who's like probably 6'4", and Amik Robertson, who's definitely not above like 5'10", and he was out there killing it. That's always been Amik Robertson's MO. I mean, occasionally he has his fuck ups like every corner, but when he's called upon it, he usually is solid. The defense in the first half, they looked good. Again, I think the Packers offense was kind of beating themselves at times. But the defense did get ran all over in the third quarter by A.J. Dillon. And then once again in the fourth quarter, the Raiders defense stepped up and they did what they needed to do to allow the offense to go win the game. Once again, they did the same thing in the Denver game, the Steeler game, even though the offense didn't win the game. And even last week against the Chargers, when again the offense didn't win the game, but they gave them the opportunity to go and get back in the game. So this defense has the ability to be stingy. It's just they're not quite consistent, right? And I think again this was a game where the Packers offense just wasn't getting it done. But still, in that fourth quarter, it felt like the defense was not going to let them get anything. I can say that like the first half was a little back and forth between the Packers and Raiders defense, like being inconsistent. Fourth quarter, it felt consistent. I will say this though. Well, this is towards the offense, but the Raiders' points scored off of 2 interceptions, because the third one was at the end of the game. Off of 2 interceptions, the Raiders' offense went and scored 3 total points, 1 field goal. The Packers' points scored off of 1 interception, 7 points. So if we had lost, that would have been the difference of the game. Is the Raiders' offense failing, and that's Josh McDaniels' MO. That is Jimmy Garoppolo's, offense. So if they had lost, those would have been the 2 heads I'm pointing at tonight. I also made a note. This was before the deflection by Marcus Peters. I literally just wrote Marcus Peters sucks. This dude fucking sucks. But then he got the nice, pass deflection that bounced into Robert Spillane's hands, and he redeemed himself. But he was giving up some plays, man. That 77-yarder to Christian Watson was just like, how far off, how soft coverage do you have to play? Because you're 30 fucking 3 or however old he is. I don't know why Jacorian Bennett was inactive in this game. I don't think he's injured. Apparently last week against the Chargers, Jacorian Bennett had been starting every week 1, 2, 3. Maybe he gave up some big plays or made some wrong decisions against the Steelers. And against the Chargers, he went from playing like, say, 90% of defensive snaps down to 40. This game, he was inactive. So I don't know what's going on there, but I would much rather see Jacorian Bennett than Marcus Peters. I'm sorry. I just give him playing time. Fuck. And then almost last note. This was the first time the Raiders beat the Packers since 1987. They were 0-8 against the Packers in their last 8 matchups. Also, my last major note for this Raiders team, they still, even though they won again, they still have not scored more than 17 points in a game.
I was going to actually touch on that too, Mike. I was going to say, they they said they were going to feature 17 on the offense. I thought they were talking about Devontae Adams, not just putting up 17 points and calling it a day.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they got the number wrong. They meant 16 because they featured Jacoby Myers. I think the Packers, I think it was pretty clear they came in with a game plan to not allow Devontae Adams to beat them, which makes sense, for one, in part because he can, and for two, because he used to be on their team and they're probably like, we can't have Devontae be the reason that we lose. And maybe they sold out a little bit too hard because they still lost. I saw this post game on ESPN. I just kind of screenshotted it. First downs, the Raiders had 19, the Packers had 18. Total yards, Raiders had 279 to the Packers 285. So really close. Third down conversions, Packers had 4 out of 12. Raiders had 5 out of 13. And then turnovers, the Packers had 3, the Raiders had 1. So that tells me that the turnovers were the difference of the game. And really, it was, I think Jordan Love's play was pretty poor, and he kind of made Jimmy Garoppolo look good.
Yeah.
When he shouldn't
I
have.
mean, did you hear about, like, the exchange before the game between Garoppolo and a couple of the Packers players? Well, I had heard that there was this Packer player that for some reason saw Jimmy Garoppolo walk past him in the locker room. And Jimmy Garoppolo went over to Jair Alexander and he said, "Lace him up. It's going to be a long game." No, I'm just playing into that.
Long fucking night, buddy.
Yeah, it's going to be a long night. No, if you're a Raider fan, I'm sure that you've seen like those. I mean, has that been strictly an Aiden O'Connell meme, or has it just been like
it was Aiden O'Connell, but I feel like there was somebody else, and it wasn't on the Raiders that they did that for as well. But I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but Jimmy didn't even play that good either.
No, and luckily Jacobs got a little hot at the end because if they kept the offensive line, man, they're like, again, early on in the game, they gave up 2 third down sacks on the first 2 drives. But then just the running game, the run blocking is just not good. And last year, that was their strength. I don't know what changed. They have the same offensive line coach. Brasillo, I think is his name. And they have a lot of returning offensive linemen, Colt Miller, Parham, and Andre James, all the left and center. Right tackle, Illuminor returning, and then it's just Van Roten. That's the difference at right guard. And granted, his numbers are shit, but still, I mean, it's a collective unit. But
I can tell you exactly what changed.
I know what you're going to say. I'm telling you right now, it's the offensive line. You watch this game, the offensive line is not blocking well at all.
I'm telling you right now, it definitely is the offensive line, but having Jimmy Garoppolo under center does not help. And the reason why is because Jimmy Garoppolo can't throw the ball deep or stretch the field, so defenses don't have to respect that, and they're able to load the box.
Okay. That is a very good point. That I agree with 100%. I thought you were going to say that Josh Jacobs is out of shape. I was like,
no.
It's week 5. There's no way.
No.
Maybe week 1. Maybe week 2, but not anymore. But yes, I agree with that Jimmy G take. Other than that, anything else you have to say about this game? Go right ahead. I'm ready and have said everything I have said.
So one thing I wanted to point out was Max Crosby absolutely fucking, destroyed the Packers. Like, he was making a difference on damn near every single play. So props to Max Crosby. That was very impressive. And, just sort of asserting yourself as a top 5 pass rusher in the league, and doing it on primetime just only gets you more exposure. So, props to you.
I don't want to sell him short. I think he was a major reason for Jordan Love's struggles. I think all the pressure that he was putting on him really affected his throws for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and then I think Jimmy looked fucking awful, dude. Like,
yeah,
he's thrown an interception in like every single game that he's played so far this year, right? how he has like what 7 interceptions through like 4 weeks played.
It's not good, that's for sure.
It's not good. I mean, one thing that did stand out to me today was, remember we were talking last week about the Raiders need somebody who's going to get creative rather than like the whole Patriots thing. I think Josh McDaniels got creative today. And with the play calling, there were jet sweeps, there were a lot of screens. You know what I mean? It almost looked as though Kyle Shanahan was somewhere calling plays, like maybe Josh McDaniels was probably throwing a tennis ball against the wall, laying down on the floor in his room, like didn't know, like bouncing it back to himself, didn't know what to do, and then like calls up Kyle Shanahan and is like, please draw up a game plan. And then Kyle Shanahan's like, God, I got to make Jimmy look good again. And then literally drew up the whole tunnel screens, bubble screens, jet sweeps, the Jimmy gimmies, right?
Yeah.
And, it's not like they exceeded 17 points, but I think that it was enough to win the game. Like you said, the defense gave them an opportunity to win the game. And this has been like, what, 4 out of 5 weeks where they have.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, and like I was thinking about it earlier, say before the game, like I fully expected a loss tonight, and I was like, man, we're gonna start 0-4 or 1-4, and I came in like predicting like, oh, I think we're gonna get 8 or 9 wins for sure, and I was just sitting there like, God, fucking damn it, I look like a fucking idiot. But I mean, point being, like this roster has the talent clearly, like based off of this game especially, but almost every game besides the Bill game, the defense has shown that they can play actual defense. It's like if they just got that together and Patrick Graham's scheme finally got like not mastered, but like these players start really getting it and like becoming consistent, it would make such a huge difference for this team. Because the other thing I came in thinking was like, this is going to be a pretty, hopefully, or at least aim to be an efficient offense. So if you have a bend don't break, get the necessary stops defense paired with an efficient offense, which it has not been, you can win games. And like today's game was a good example of what they want to do, but the problem is I don't think you're going to play many Packers teams this season.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, you got to take things 1 week at a time. And,
yeah.
Just like we did in our predictions, we took it 1 week at a time. And we both predicted that the Packers would win this game, and we were both wrong. So, you mentioned there was something I wanted to address about you mentioning Christian Watson getting that big catch, and you're like, how did you allow that? Or who was the player you were talking about?
Marcus Peters.
Okay. But I bet you were sitting at home because you started Christian Watson in fantasy. You were like, no, yes, no, yes, no.
Well, okay. Like, again, I shouldn't say again, but just like, there is a huge part of me that's just rooting for us
to lose.
Lose, blow it up, and get Caleb Williams, get a good coach in here, and really get it going next year. Like, I'll take it, But, I was excited because I was like, oh, sweet, Christian Watson. But I also was sitting there like, I'm still down like 25 points. There's no chance. But bear in mind, if he had caught every deep pass that was thrown to him, so if he got that, let's say he got the touchdown instead of getting horse collared, which actually the horse collar tackle saved the Raiders because they only got a field goal out of that. If they had gotten a touchdown, it would have been a tie game for the Packers at the end there. I mean, the Raiders probably play a little bit, more harsh on offense. They would have gone for it on fourth.
More desperate,
essentially. Yeah, more desperate on offense at the end of the game.
More urgent, yeah.
Yeah, more urgent, exactly. But it would have been different. But point being, if they'd gotten that touchdown, there's a good chance that it's a tie game at the end of the regulation. So,
Mhm.
and then the other point being, he had two other deep passes to him, one to end the game that could have absolutely been a touchdown, and then one where Crosby was screaming towards Jordan Love, and he got it off, and for half a second it looked like, oh shit, this is going to be a long touchdown for the Packers, but ended up being incomplete. I forget who was covering him, but yeah, I mean, he could have had a massive game, and maybe I get the 25, but I didn't see it as realistic. So,
Mhm. Yeah, but as for our predictions, we are currently I am 3 for 5 or 3 out of 5. Yeah, 3 for 5 and you are 2 for 5 with the Raiders.
yeah.
So,
In hindsight, I wish I'd swapped the Steelers and Packers.
mhm.
Because obviously hindsight 2020, it feels so much like smarter. And even when I picked the Raiders, versus the Steelers, like I was sitting there like, God, I think the Steelers are going to win, but I just think we could stop their offense and blah blah blah. I feel like
Yeah.
we should get to the comments right now.
Yeah, it's a great time to get to the comments. Then we will move on to week 6. So Chicano, thank you again for tuning in. This is how many weeks in a row now? He asked, "You guys see Crosby get stiff armed by Love?" I did not see that. Mike, did you?
Uh, he's probably talking about the play where somebody almost got, or no, it was I want to say the play you might be talking about is when Tyree Wilson got like chip blocked or something, and there was a penalty thrown, and Crosby, I don't know how, almost got a sack on Love, but Love somehow got out of it and ended up running for like 8 yards and then getting out of bounds. That might be the play, but I'm not sure. Uh, so I guess my answer is I don't remember a stiff arm, but I think that might be the play.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, the
Fon-
fact that Love got out of it, I was like impressed.
mm-hmm. Fonzie, what's up? Thank you for tuning back in.
Welcome.
Also with you, how many weeks in a row, right? Chicano said he didn't want to miss Mike's reaction. So, Chicano, I forget. Are you a Raider fan or a Niner fan? Please let us know in the comments. I forget these things. I know Fonzie is a Niner guy. And
Also, I hope
speaking
my
of Fonzie,
reaction lives up to the hype. And give it a
yeah,
couple weeks, they might get more fun.
yeah. Fonzie says, "Man, if Watson scores on that third pick, I would have lost my fantasy matchup this week. Thank you, Raiders D." Yeah, and if Watson scores on a couple of those touchdowns, maybe Mike, pulls off his first fantasy win this year.
Yeah, I'm the defending champ. I have to, this little trophy right there,
Mhm.
defending champ. Just have to, mention that. But yeah, I'm going on 0 and fucking 5.
Yeah. And he's going to be playing me this week. And I don't know why Mike is like my kryptonite in fantasy football, or at least he's been like the first several years that I played. And then I eventually got over the hump and I won 3 championships in like 4 years or something like that. You know how it goes, Mike. Well, not 3, but yeah. I'm worried about facing Mike next week. I had Anthony Richardson and I have Deshaun Watson as my backup, and Watson might not play. So Chicano says, "Does Mike agree with McDaniel's call to kick the field goal at the end, giving the ball to the Packers with 2-minute drill to score?" This is a great question, Mike. How do you feel
It
about
is
that?
it is a great question because I didn't bring it up. I texted the group chat that I was thinking to kick the field goal as well. What they did was they had like 2 minutes and 15 seconds left. They lined up, tried to hard count the Packers into going off sides. If they had first down, game over. They didn't. So then they got the 2-minute warning to take some time and decide on it, and they ended up trotting out Carlson and kicking the field goal. It hits the crossbar and it doesn't go in. Let's be honest. Now, earlier in the game, right before second half, they got a essentially blocked field goal, yada, 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 right? But usually Carlson, especially at home, he is money I texted the group chat, I would also kick the field goal. Because what feels worse than missing the field goal to me is running Jacobs up the middle on 4th and 1 and not getting it.
Getting it stopped, yeah.
Yeah, that would just feel so much worse. That would, like, I know missing the field goal felt like it gave the Packers momentum. The defense stopping the Raiders from getting a first down, way worse as far as giving up the momentum. Now, granted, I'm not saying I would run Jacobs up the middle. I would do a QB sneak. It's been very effective with Jimmy G, and they probably get it. And then earlier in that game, they did a 4th and 1 or 3rd and 1 where they did a sweep off to the left, and that was really good, and it got a first down. So, and like you said, McDaniels was getting more creative, and I did appreciate that for sure. They need more of that. Just utilizing more than just fucking 2 receivers, like, please. But yeah, to answer the question, like, I agreed with the field goal, but also, hey, you should be able to, again, top 5 paid offense in the league. You have 6 Super Bowl rings as a coach, as a play caller. Like, you should be able to get this first down. Like, the Raiders with Josh McDaniels, in theory, because he's the offensive coach, should have a better ability to do that than a team like the Chargers who do it every single time because they're just following the statistics, apparently. So perhaps the statistics tell us that they should have gone for the first down, to go for 4th and 1. But I feel like, you kick that field goal, you make it, and it's a 7-point game. There's a solid likelihood that the outcome of the game is the same, but they did have a chance to win the game, on that final throw. So it's probably smarter to go for it. But I just think Carlson's money, he 99 out of 100 times makes it, and he just this one time missed it. And yeah. But like, again, I was sitting there when he hit the crossbar, I was like, oh, we might lose.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit. Like, I wasn't like sitting there like on the verge of tears, like, is this really fucking happening? I was more like, hey, our chances of getting Caleb Williams just went up a little bit.
You're doing the old evil hand rub.
I'm literally over here right now just like, either way, I can't lose.
Yeah.
But that's not true, because if we, again, get 6 wins this season, end up with the 7th overall pick, I'm just going to be sitting here like, fucking kill me. So
it happens every year.
It's going to happen
every year.
When we get to talking about the Raiders' upcoming game, I'm literally going to bring that up. Like, our upcoming schedule is so favorable, it's not even funny. So, yeah.
Okay. So I know you asked Mike this question, but I also agree you have to kick the field goal there. If you go for it on 4th down, you're going to lose, and you don't get it, you're going to lose the game, probably. The momentum shifts far in your favor, and with the way McDaniels currently is with the fan base right now, if they had not got it, you are not going to change anyone's mind that McDaniels needs to be fired.
Yeah, and I mean, in essence, McDaniels said, "Oh God, if I don't get this, I might lose my job. I'm just gonna put this on Carlson's hands. Like, I'm just gonna blame this on Carlson." So yeah.
He's like, if I don't get this, I'm gonna be coaching against the Raiders next week.
Yeah, basically. But if they did get it, game's over.
So. Yeah. So Fonzie laughing. I think that was for the Mark Davis thing, and Joel even tuned in. Joel, thank you for tuning back in. You got a score, or what an asshole. I think it was what an asshole, or you got a score might not be a bad one. Yeah, I think that was a pretty good lip reading there. Fonzie says, I see them saying both on what you thought Mark he Davis said. What are you doing? Is that what you thought he said?
Yeah, I said, what are... Shit. Sorry. I thought that he said, what are you guys doing?
What are you guys doing? Also, Chicano verifies that he's a 49er fan. Thank God. I knew I liked Chicano. Yeah, so I guess Jordan Love did stiff arm Max Crosby. Let's see. First win, LOL. Damn, it didn't even happen yet. So maybe I'll give it to Mike next week because if he's not going to get Caleb Williams, he at least deserves something to keep him happy.
Yeah, I bear in mind, like, I have 4 fantasy leagues, but this is by far the one that I care the most about, so it's still killing me all the same. But I'm just happy that it's not my only league to where I'm just like, I hate this. The Raiders are winning games that I don't want them to win. They're losing games that I don't want them to lose, and I'm 0-5 in fantasy.
Yeah, you see, that was me last year, but I have to say it's such a unique feeling because this is my one and only fantasy league, and I'm just like, all right, these are the people I'm rocking with this year, and if it doesn't work out, there is no, oh well, I'm doing good in my other league. No, it's like oh shit, all my players just tore up their knee, and I just have to sit in a dark room for the rest of the day and freaking think about offing myself.
Yeah.
Right. But let's see here. A couple more comments. Yeah, if Watson does play, he's going against the Niners defense, which is tough. So something I'm going to have to think about going into tomorrow. So
Is that the last comment? I have a
no,
stat, but I want to get through the comments first.
Jimmy G String is good at quarterback sneaks.
It's starting to feel like it's about all he's good at.
And what's the difference, though? It's the same field position. I'm thinking might have to do with kicking the field goal.
Likely. The difference was it was after the 2-minute warning, and the Packers only had 1 timeout left. So if they had gotten the first down, the game's over. Whereas they kick the field goal and they miss it, the Packers just get the ball, Or, of course, whether you kick it and miss it or go for it and don't get it, it's the same. But going for it on 4th down and getting it, you keep possession. The game's going to be over. You can need the ball. You kick the field goal, you're still giving the ball to the Packers, and they're still within 1 score, whether you make it or not. So, if that's what he's asking.
I have a question, and I don't know if anybody in the comments or if Mike knows the answer, but this is something that I just thought about. When you kick a field goal on 4th down and you miss it or it gets blocked, does the ball get spotted where it was last spotted, or does the ball get spotted where the kick took place? Because they place it down and the placeholder is kneeling the ball down. You know what I mean?
Well, okay. I'm pretty sure if you kick a field goal and you miss it, it's where the yard marker was last placed. But if it's blocked, it's wherever it was last touched, I want to say. I think.
I don't think so. I think when it's blocked,
when you block a kick, unless the kicking team touches the ball, it's like a punt. You can pick it up and run with it on defense. On offense, you pick up the ball, that's it. I don't think once it's blocked, I don't think you can pick it up and run with it. It's like I said, it's like a punt. So imagine it being a punt.
On PATs, it's dead.
Right.
As soon as you block it. When you're kicking a field goal, it's not dead.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense because the way I look at it, it's essentially the same as punting because you're giving up possession. But if you kick it through the uprights, you get points. Now, what makes sense to me is when the opposing team blocks the kick, they just gave up possession. So now the kicking team can grab the ball and run with it, just like a punt. If the punt receiver gets the ball, fumbles it, the opposing team can pick it up and run with it. But if he doesn't touch the ball, lets it go past him, and then the opposing team that just punted touches the ball, dead. So I think it has to be blocked for it to be able to get moved. But if it's not blocked, the kicker just misses they miss the kick and it whiffs and goes on to the 20-yard line. It can't be progressed, at least not by the kicking team. And yes, it's the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. So Fonzie is just further, elaborating on if you miss, they get a chance. If you go for it and you don't get it, they still get a chance. Yeah, I just think that the momentum, it's like it's such a, you think about you can't gain 1 yard. Football is like it's a war game, and it's
Mhm.
so much a mental game too. It's
Yeah.
it's a very physical game, but like there's mind games, there's the games within the game, and it's like you just give your defense a whole like shot of energy if you if you stop them on fourth down. You give your offense a whole lot of energy, like we got to go down there and score, like we're gonna win
Yeah.
this fucking game.
Yeah. Like,
You
holy
give
shit.
them
We
belief
have a,
is what it is.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh shit, look what they did. Now we have to go, do something too. But also, yeah, I mean, when you look at it, like the difference between either giving them the ball or not giving them the ball, you should go for not giving them the ball. At least that's what statistics say. Like, how hard is it to get 1 yard, right? If they get the first down on a QB sneak or whatever, like I said, the game's over. That's the difference. But between kicking it and missing and going for it and not getting it, there's no difference other than momentum. But also, like, I guess I would say what's nice about going for it and getting it, you get the first down, it's over. But if you kick it and you get it, you knocked off like 5 seconds, and you're likely going to pin them to the 25 instead of like the 40 or whatever they were at, the 35, right? So you're pushing it back like, say, 10 yards, and you're taking off like 5 seconds of the clock. But I think that was a decision that you could have gone either way, and I'd say like, oh, that's a good decision unless they really fuck up. So
Yeah. So with 2 minutes left, them getting the ball back, whether you miss the field goal or fourth down conversion, equals momentum, in my opinion. It is momentum, but I think there's something a little bit different than of like, the Raiders, Daniel Carlson screwed it up himself versus the defense. We are just better than you, and making the whole team believe, you know what? We just kicked their ass. We're going to go fucking drive down the field and score, right?
yeah,
Like, if you think about it without thinking about the mental aspect, yeah, it's like all right, they got the ball at the same spot, and yes, you're happy you got the ball back, and your mindset is to go drive. It's just the little thing that energizes the team, so in in a nutshell, it's the same thing, you know, but like what's going on, Mike? What are you looking at over
I'm
there?
sorry, no, I'm just looking at stats. I'm gonna read all this stuff after you're done.
Yeah. But it's the difference of like just what means more. You know what I mean? Like oh, it's like saying a win is a win, but there's such thing as an ugly win and like a statement win. You know what I mean? It all goes in the rule book the same way, but it's the context. You know what I mean? It's how it happened. So, yeah, we are going to move on to our
Wait. Sorry.
Hey.
Last thing, just because these are some really interesting stats that Paul Gutierrez has tweeted out. Just to finish off the recap for the Raiders versus the Packers. I'll go top to bottom. The Raiders, 3 interceptions in this game, or as many as they have had in their prior 10 games combined, which sounds exactly right to me. Interceptions are not very common for us Raider fans. Max
I
Crosby.
did notice something a little weird about this game tonight. It's like interception for the black, the team wearing black.
Right. Bear in mind, that's like tonight is exactly why I want like a great defense, because the likelihood of your defense helping you win a game is so fucking high. But anyways, when you have a great defense. Raiders defensive end Max Crosby finished with 4 QB pressures. It felt like way more than that. It's his 23rd game with 4+ pressures over the last 3 seasons. 5 more than the next closest players in the NFL in Nick Bosa and Micah Parsons. And that's all alone, just Crosby on the defensive line. And then that's the one that got my eyes to perk up. That's a great stat. And then this was the first one that I wanted to read off. Bad news for the Raiders, question mark. They are the fifth since 2010 to score under 20 points in each of their first 5 games of a season. The good news for the Raiders, question mark. They are the only team among that group to win a game, and they are 2-3. So every other team since 2010 that has started 5 straight games to open the season without scoring 20 points were 0-5 teams, and we're 2-3. I don't even know if that's good or bad. It feels bad.
I think it's bad because it's
Yeah.
like you guys have won games, but maybe you shouldn't have, and maybe you should be in prime Caleb Williams position, but you're not.
Yeah.
Or it could be a good thing because you guys will get over the hump and will end up making the playoffs.
Yeah, I just think the AFC is so tough. It's just the Raiders are 2-3. My last thing. They're 2-3. They lost to the Bills, Steelers, and Chargers. You could argue that they almost should be 4-1. But at the very same time, you can argue they could easily be 0-5. They could have lost the Packers tonight, and one less of a defensive stop against the Broncos, we could have lost to them too. And we could be owning the first overall pick right now. It's the tip of the scale is that close right now. And it just points me towards 6 to 7 wins, a shitty draft pick, and my life and my suffering. Yeah, so anyways.
Mm-hmm. Imagine if they would have kept Mac to pair with Crosby.
Yeah.
Mac would be expensive though. If he was still on the Raiders, he would be very expensive, and I think the money is better spent on Crosby.
He would have been very expensive. We also wouldn't have had either Jonathan Abram or I want to say Josh Jacobs. But then again, he might have fell to 27, and it would have been Jacobs in place of Amari Cooper, for that draft pick with the Cowboys trade. But I don't know. But keeping Khalil Mack would have been a massive, what do you call that? Like butterfly effect. They probably don't draft Cleveland Farrell, so on and so forth. But maybe they don't draft Crosby either. I don't know. And if I'm being honest, I'd much rather have Crosby.
Yep. All right. Raiders versus Patriots. Mike, what do you think is going to go on in week 6?
Another fantasy fuck up that I made was that I didn't start the Saints defense this week, who scored 24 points because they shut out the Patriots offense. The Raiders defense is nowhere near as good as the Saints defense. But I think in the past 2 weeks, you could argue the Raiders offense is a little bit better right now than the Saints offense, but that'll change in the next couple weeks. But I usually try to wait until the end of the episode, but I'm not going to lie to you. I think we're going to win this game. I think the Patriots are at a literal all-time low. They are 2 straight weeks. The past 2 matchups for the Patriots were the 2 worst losses as far as total score in Bill Belichick's career with the Patriots. They lost by 34-0, I want to say. And I think they lost pretty much the same thing, except they scored 3 points 2 weeks ago. That's not the way Bill Belichick's teams play. They are injured. They just lost Judon and the first-round corner, Gonzalez. Their quarterback plays horrendous right now. I honestly don't even know who their top receiver is. I know they're supposed to have Juju Smith-Schuster, but I don't even think he's doing good. I think Kendrick Bourne might be their top receiver. Their tight ends are okay.
Well, they've got Juju Smith-Schuster, Kendrick Bourne, Devontae Parker, Hunter Henry, and Mike Gesicki.
Yeah. They also have
named most of those guys already, but
Yeah, Ramondre
I don't think you
Stevenson
need
and
Parker.
no, but Ramondre Stevenson and Ezekiel Elliott in the run game. But I think they got stuffed in this past game. And I mean, granted, Ramondre Stevenson might have a bounce back game, against the Raiders. If we're being if AJ Dillon can run for however as well as he looked at points in this game against the Packers, I could see Ramondre having a great game. But I just think they're having major issues at quarterback, and it's entirely possible Mac Jones doesn't start against the Raiders. He might get benched. And
Did
if that's
Bailey
the case,
Zappi play last week?
I think he ended the game for them. I'm pretty sure. So I could see this being a second week in a row where the Raiders defense looks pretty good. But I think it's going to be the second week in a row where it might be largely in part because of the offense that they face. Their defense, like I said, is very, very injured right now. I could see the Raiders offense playing pretty well. And if McDaniels can continue to get more creative, yeah, I see a win. But it's also Belichick. It's just the Patriots. Maybe their backs are really against the wall and they're coming off of 2 embarrassing losses. I'm pretty sure it's in Vegas, but I could be wrong. Let me actually confirm that. Let's see. Yeah, it's in Vegas. And this is a little under a year since the big Chandler Jones pick 6 weird lateral play, from Jacoby Myers. So I don't know if that's going to be on the Patriots' minds at all, but my guess, just looking at last year's game against the Patriots, I think McDaniels might know a thing or two about the Patriots and how they run their team.
Well, I would hope so.
Yeah.
He spent how many years with them?
Yeah. But, and also just knowing their defense. Like, that's the thing that hasn't changed is their scheme, right? Mm-hmm. Their offense changed, and it looked like it was going to be for the better this year, relative to last season with what's his face from the Lions, running the offense. Now it's Bill O'Brien, but yeah, Mac Jones just doesn't look good. So they are very much lacking in talent, and really, they might be in the running for the first overall pick in a couple weeks. So
if Belichick is still there, they're not taking Caleb Williams. I'm sorry, I don't think Belichick. He doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who wants a mobile quarterback. I know Caleb Williams is like, an excellent guy who he's not like a run first quarterback. So that's not what I'm trying to frame Caleb Williams as. But like, I just think like Brady and then he got Mac Jones. It's like, I feel like he has a type and that's his type.
Yeah, but at the same time, those were also the offensive coordinators and coaches, quarterbacks, coaches, and scouts that were making those calls, not just Belichick and whoever the general manager was at the time. I think Caleb Williams is the closest prospect we've gotten to Pat Mahomes, and reminds me a lot of like Kyler Murray coming out. And I just think he's kind of the obvious choice, for first overall, but. The person that'll fuck that up and pick Drake May instead of Caleb Williams, it isn't Belichick, it's Josh McDaniels.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. But also, I was just going to say, I think there's a running, I don't know if I call it theory, but idea that Bill Belichick might not be the coach of the Patriots come next offseason or this offseason. This might be it for him. And then I saw one person saying, like, man, Bill Belichick should be the next coach of the Raiders. It's like, all right, let's relax. But, hey, that'd be cool. But I also think maybe Bill Belichick hangs him up. I don't know. I know he probably wants to go and get the all-time winning record. But if the Patriots are going to be this bad, he'll have to go elsewhere.
Yeah, like, do you want to make a lateral move from like one Patriot coach that with a struggling offense to another one? Like,
well,
I mean, I'd rather have
said,
Belichick maybe than McDaniels, but
yeah, my point, just like I've said, give me a defensive coach with a young up and coming offensive coordinator, but the likelihood he goes and gets Bill O'Brien or some shit, and it's just the same old, same old. So yeah, I agree. I'd much rather have a different coach, honestly. So
Mhm. Yeah. Um, I think it should be time for Belichick to retire. I wanted to address. I said Brady, and then I said Mac Jones, so it seemed like Belichick had a type. I've just remembered now they had Cam Newton for a year. I
yeah,
forgot about that.
but bear in mind, like my point being, just that's all Josh McDaniels. Like that was Josh McDaniels who had for like half a season Cam Newton doing really well, at least fantasy wise. He wasn't like a crazy great passer for the Patriots, but he that was like the idea with McDaniels coming to the Raiders was like, oh, he's adaptable. He'll go out there and he can get a Caleb Williams and do really well with him, or a Marcus Mariota or whatever, right? But uh, I shouldn't say Marcus Mariota, but But then you see them draft like a guy like Aiden O'Connell. It's like nah, and signing Jimmy Garoppolo. It's like nah, they just want pocket passers. So
Yeah, but I think aside from that, I think the Raiders will win. You know, Fonzie thinks Mac Jones sucks, and I think Mac Jones kind of sucks. I know Rex Ryan earlier said if Mac Jones was on the Niners, he would be playing at the same level as Brock Purdy. I don't think so. I think Mac Jones has you know like behavior issues. He is such a dirty player on the football field because I don't know if you guys have seen the clips of like Mac Jones when he was a rookie twisting that pant. I think it was a guy on the Panthers. Like he literally grabs him by the ankle, twists it. Uh,
pretty sure that was
I,
Brian Burns.
it was probably Brian Burns. And
He's
just the
tripped players. He's untied shoes. But then the latest one was given the old
Sauce Gardner,
nice, yeah,
the
love
old
tap
cup
to the
check.
yeah, cup check.
Yeah,
So
but I don't know what the hell his deal is. It's like, dude, you're a grown man playing in the NFL. Like, fucking grow up, right?
he would have been so great for like the 1970s, but yeah, he's not getting it done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'm gonna pick the Raiders to win this week, and you know maybe not because I think the Raiders are that great. We're still figuring out more and more about them, but I just think that the Patriots are really bad. So,
Yeah. So I just good.
and I agree with this comment here that Fonzie said it's time for Bill to retire. He's accomplished everything, and he's 71. I couldn't agree more with this. And one thing that really I guess upsets me about it is that like Bill Belichick right now is doing a lot more harm to his legacy than good. Like he is changing the way people are remembering him. Because if he would have retired maybe like when Brady left, there would still be that question of like, oh, how much did Belichick have to do with it? And then Brady went to Tampa, won a Super Bowl, and Belichick has like low-key his teams have just sucked since then. But I think
Yeah.
Belichick, I think Belichick still does deserve some credit because like way back in the day before he was ever a head coach, he was the defensive coordinator for the Giants that gave the Niners trouble. You know, they gave the Niners trouble back when they had Montana,
Mm.
right? And he was like one of the defensive coaches on that staff that like hurt Montana. You know what I mean? And that was such a different NFL.
Yeah, he's adapted to the times tremendously. He's one of the winningest coaches of all time. There's no denying, in my opinion, that he's one of the greatest coaches of all time. Like, probably top five. Um, but at the same time, I can't help but feel like Andy Reid is swiftly surpassing him um, in the ranks for me. And I think yes, Brady was the difference. I mean, every one of Belichick's disciples that have left the Patriots have failed. Josh McDaniels looks like he's about to continue that trend. And I mean, Josh McDaniels was the offensive play caller with Brady. He should be the one guy that sticks out and actually succeeds, and he's not doing it yet. And then, yeah, Belichick, once he's been rid of Tom Brady and gets the opportunity to prove himself, I think the next season he went to the playoffs, got shat on by the Bills, and since then it's not looked good.
Yeah.
So,
And you mentioned that they last season they had Matt Patricia. You referred to him as the guy from the Lions. So he
yeah,
used to be with the Patriots before he was with the Lions. Like,
he was the defensive
and
coordinator. Yeah.
yeah, he was the defensive coordinator, and then now it's sort of looking like, hey Bill, you doing all right today, buddy?
Well,
Like,
that was the thing, is like he was the defensive coordinator for the Patriots, becomes head coach of the Lions, fails miserably. The players fucking like hated him. Comes back to the Patriots as like an assistant for like half a season. And then the next year, last season, he's the offensive coordinator. It's like that was the ultimate Bill Belichick giving a middle finger to the entire NFL, saying, "Watch this, guys. You want to talk shit? Watch this." And then they fucking sucked. It was like, yeah, that was never smart. And maybe he really just wanted Bill O'Brien and couldn't get him or something, because I think he was with Alabama at the time. But yeah, I just putting Patricia at offensive coordinator was so questionable. I'd have to see how far away Belichick is from the all-time winningest, or all-time wins record, because I could see him really trying to stick it out for that. But at the same time, like, if this is how bad it's going to be, it's not worth it. He should just call it.
like this is the vibe that I'm getting from Bill Belichick right now. Like he's over there sitting on the sideline, sitting on top of a football, reading A Complete Idiot's Guide to Coaching College Football.
No, that's honestly that to me is Matt Patricia. Bill Belichick's a genius. Don't get it twisted. That
No,
man
but I'm
knows
saying
fucking football.
now. No, but I'm saying now. No, I know Belichick knows football. Did you
Yeah,
see when he answered that one reporter? He
like a
he
10-minute answer.
yeah, he got asked
Yeah,
why teams hold a long snapper, and then he went through like the entire history of like long snapping.
yeah,
Like, Bill Belichick's a genius, but it's like these small little decisions make you look at him like a little bit different.
yeah.
Um, and Fonzie says maybe Josh needs more control like Shanahan has. I'm assuming Josh McDaniels, but if you're talking about me, I have all the control. This is my show. I do it without Mike. I do it with Mike. No, pause. Um, no,
Uh,
yeah, but
well,
yeah,
I mean, that's a curious point. I wonder how much control McDaniels has for the Raiders' offense. I feel like I'm assuming he's talking about McDaniels.
yeah.
I feel like or maybe he's saying for the team overall, because like Belichick always had all the control. It felt like. Um, and again, I like Ziegler a lot. Like, I like him with personnel decisions. Um, I feel like as far as offense goes, like, it's pretty clear that uh, McDaniels has the offensive say, and it's not really the best. So,
Mm-hmm.
but you never know. You never know.
Yeah. But are we ready to move on into
One more thing. Sorry. The Raiders' upcoming schedule: Patriots, Bears, Lions, Giants, Jets. Okay. I think we lose to the Lions. Okay, yeah. I think we lose to the Lions. I think Patriots, we win. Bears, we're going to take it a week at a time, but we'll see. The Bears look like they might be getting hot. Giants, garbage. They're garbage. Jets, that might be tough. But I see 4 winnable games out of 5. So what if they get 4 wins? The Raiders would be 6-4. What if they get 3 wins? They'd be 500. They'd be at 5-5, which sounds pretty solid for this team. 6-4 being much better, because after that you have Miami, Kansas City, a bye week, Minnesota, very winnable, LA Chargers, Kansas City, Indianapolis, Denver. So this is the nice stretch for the Raiders' schedule. And this is why I felt like that Steelers game and the Charger game, with all those injuries that the Chargers had, were must wins, and they didn't get them. again, 6-7 wins, just missed the playoffs, just pissed me off. And yeah, and it's gonna look 6-4. Oh my god! And then upcoming schedule's trash. We're gonna get shat on. We're gonna have the 6 wins or 5 wins, and then we're gonna be out of the hunt for the first overall pick. Yada yada yada. So, but at least the optimist in me can say, hey, these next 5 games, man, they're winnable. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So final predictions. You're going Patriots, right?
I'm going Raiders.
I, too, am going to choose the Raiders. And if I'm wrong for, I guess if you are wrong for 4 weeks in a row, Mike, I think you should just retire and, I'll do the podcast by myself.
Well, it's just funny because we keep picking the same things, other than I chose the Chargers. I mean, I chose the Raiders. You chose the Chargers, but I should have just said if Jimmy started, I would have predicted a win. I shouldn't have gone balls deep on O'Connell, but yes, sir. Raiders. Let's do it.
Yeah. So I got the Raiders. You got the Raiders. I'll upload that into the spreadsheet soon.
Beating the Patriots is always fun, so I'd like to see it.
Yeah. Got to sign Chandler Jones back for 1 week. Yeah. Moving on. All right. 49ers versus Cowboys recap. Oh my God. I don't know if in the previous episode where we were previewing it, I don't remember if I said that the Niners were going to make a statement, but Mike, were you paying attention to our fantasy group chat right before the game when Lorenzo was like, "Oh, it's about to be a dogfight right now," like preparing for the game, and I was like, I don't think it's going to be that close. I think the Niners are going to make it's going to be like a statement, right?
Yeah, I did.
And then Tyler was also, Tyler was sort of, the Cowboys want it more. And, if the Cowboys wanted it more, I think they had a funny way of showing it.
Yeah, for those watching, Lorenzo is a Cowboy fan and Tyler is a Charger fan.
Yeah, but Tyler's family is full of Cowboy fans.
That's true. That is true. Yeah. It's honestly hard for me to even say that this was a statement game. Like, I get it because, the Cowboys were kind of coming in, other than the Cardinal game, with a lot of hype. But I think, like, in a way, yes, it feels like a statement game because this game, Jesus Christ, dude. What's the term for like it gave us the green light for the statement of this is the best team in football.
Mm-hmm. Like, I think it just showed how far beyond the 49ers are to the rest of the NFC.
We'll see about the Eagles, but yes.
Well, yeah. We will see, I think, week 13 against the Eagles. But, we just keep coming back to our weekly argument or our weekly debate about, if the Niners were to play the Chiefs today, I think, all right, here's my thing. And I keep saying this, and it showed in this Cowboys game. And I'll get back to like recapping the Cowboys game specifically. I don't think there is a viable way, as long as all these weapons can stay healthy and Brock Purdy can stay healthy. I don't think that there's a way that you can slow down this offense because you can't stop everybody at once. Purdy knows where he's going to go with the football. Shanahan has been in his bag. Well, he was in his bag this past week. Shanahan's a great play caller. It's impossible to guard all these guys when you have a quarterback who knows what he's doing, and Brock is proving that he knows what he's doing. It's been so amazing to watch Purdy play because this level of quarterbacking we have not seen. And I really want to give Purdy credit because I have been one of the people who has been extremely patient to appoint him I have been willing to acknowledge that he's been playing great, but I'm like, all right, let's slow down before we say he's the long-term guy. He's the, for sure starter, gives this team the best chance to win and everything. Purdy is absolutely the right guy for this team because Purdy I don't think he doesn't make it about himself. You know what I mean? He doesn't hold on to the ball for that long. I never see him get upset that, like about his stats the way that, maybe another quarterback might get, right? He doesn't get down on himself for any reason. And, I guess the whole stats thing that I brought up, you mainly see that in basketball, not really in football, but, Purdy is just, the level of play that you get from him versus the quarterbacks that have played before him in this Shanahan offense, it's night and day. I really believe that this is the 49ers year to go all the way and win it.
It certainly feels like it because, like I said, they are undeniably right now the best team in football. They're clicking on all cylinders. I mean, the reason why I said this doesn't feel like such a statement game. Now, granted, they did score 42 on the Dallas Cowboys defense. That's a statement, that is. But they haven't scored less than 30 all season. 30-7 against the Steelers, 30-23 against the Rams, which close game. 30-12 against the Giants, which was a closer game than expected. 35-16 against the Cardinals, another closer game than expected, but still 30 plus points in every game. And then this one finally was the first real blowout. Yeah, and I mean, I don't think the Browns are going to stop you guys. You got the Vikings after that. You guys are going to probably pummel the fuck out of them. Bengals game should be interesting. I'm going to be attending that game, and I hope it's a good game. I hope it's not 42-10 because I'm going to be sitting there like, God damn it. Like, it was fun in the first quarter,
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to see some good games. I mean, but then Jags, Bucks, Seahawks, finally the Eagles, Seahawks, Cardinals, Ravens. That'll be interesting, but you'll kill them. Commanders, Rams. Like, you guys won't lose. If you guys continue this pace, you won't lose more than 3 games. You'll be the 1 seed. Unless you lose to the Eagles and they somehow lose less games. Or the same amount.
Okay, so call me crazy, but I really feel like this Niners team may have an opportunity to go undefeated. I don't know if I can ever pick somebody over them in any week this season. And obviously we'll learn more. It's just week 6. But I really feel this is absolutely better than the 2019 team that went to the Super Bowl. It's not even close.
Well, yes, because of the offense. But I still think that their defense isn't nearly as dominant. Now, Fred Warner, it almost felt like he was for sure dominating the game against the Cowboys. It almost felt like he was just doing everything. But still, as a collective defense, that 2019 defense was killing teams. And then pair that with the insane run game that you guys had where you were rushing for it felt like 200 yards a game, which almost feels equivalent to what is happening now, except now you have more weapons, more places to throw the ball, and more specifically, McCaffrey as a weapon is massive, but also Purdy, how efficient he is under Shanahan relative to Jimmy G. That's the major difference, him and McCaffrey. And I think they are the two right now, for me, they are the 2 front runners for the MVP. You could hand it to McCaffrey, you can hand it to Purdy. But if the Niners keep this up, one of those 2 guys will get the MVP. If McCaffrey continues this 1 touchdown a game with half the time it being 3 touchdowns a game, he'll get it. He will break the mold. It will be the first non-quarterback in I don't know how long to win an MVP. and it'll be deserved. It'll be fucking deserved. But yes, I mean, that's the other thing about this team. I kind of gave up my answer already, but it's like they have by far this season the most dominant defense in the league, and yet their defense isn't the strength of their team. Their offense is. So they have the best defense. I think. I don't know if it is statistically, but it feels like they have the best defense in football. Probably not in the pass defense, but the run defense, and just getting turnover, like forcing turnovers. Like they're probably the best at it this season. And yet their offense is like by far their strong suit, because like you said, every option that they have to pass to, Purdy efficiently is just amazing right now. He's had some bad throws, but regardless, it's different.
I think that the Niners currently have the number 2 ranked defense right now.
Is it to the
I think it's to the Browns. I think the Browns have not allowed that many yards. I think they're the only team who's allowed like less than 1,000 yards so far, but they also had a bye week this week. So
yeah, and like my thing with the Niners defense, the only thing that they're not being essentially perfect in. I mean, it's not, they're not. It's not. You're not going to be perfect, but you know what I mean. Like as dominant in is their pass defense. Like they're kind of bending but not breaking. They're giving up pass. I mean, the Cardinals, Michael Wilson had 2 touchdowns. You're giving up receivers having like solid, like maybe 8 catch, 80-yard games, Puka Nacua week 2. It like they're allowing chunk yardage, especially in the passing game, and giving up enough points to like allow the opposing team to stay in the game, and yet also never get a chance to win the game. It's really weird, but they're just very dominant. And specifically, again, their offense is dominant. So dominant right now. And it doesn't feel like they have a weakness. Maybe an offensive guard, I don't know, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the defense is still adjusting to Steve Wilks because they have been so used to having their defensive coordinator on the field, being able to talk to every single player that he needs to talk to, whereas Steve Wilks is in the booth, only being able to talk to the players that have the microphone in their helmet, and then the positional players have to do the work on the sideline, communicating with Wilks and Shanahan. But one thing I want to say is you talked about the difference between this offense and 2019's offense. You forgot to mention Brandon Ayuk was not on the 2019 49ers either. He was drafted in 2020. So not only do you have McCaffrey, who is such like, no offense to Raheem Mostert or Tevin Coleman, but McCaffrey is just in a whole other stratosphere. He is a superstar. I mean, how many future Hall of Famers are on this 49ers team?
Funny enough, probably not as many as you think. It's McCaffrey. I think he should be. Fred Warner, probably. Nick Bosa, for sure. Trent Williams, maybe. I don't know. Like, he probably should be, but I feel like they're kind of fickle with offensive linemen,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Brandon Ayuk and Debo are yet to be determined. I don't think Debo will be.
No, I'm not even counting those guys. But still, if you have 4 future Hall of Famers on your team,
potentially Purdy, but that's way too early.
Way too early. Oh my God!
But I'm just saying, you're saying future Hall of Famers on this team. He's an option.
I wish I could go to your house right now and slap you for saying that, Michael. Jeez.
It's early. You can't tell yet. The same for Ayuk. The same could be said for Ayuk. Yeah, like what I was going to say earlier, I never hinted that I was going to say this, but they're just so efficient on offense with Purdy. And, we were talking like preseason, like, this is their window. They have to win now. Their window is as long as Purdy is on his rookie contract, in my opinion. So that's this season, next season, and the following season, right? Because this is his second season. So you have this season plus 2 more on his rookie deal.
Yeah, but I think next year he's going to be eligible for an extension.
He's eligible, and yeah, they should sign him. But what they can do is they can sign him during his 4th season or before his 4th season, but it won't actually hit until after, or he'll get a big signing bonus, but it doesn't hit the cap.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. So
Yeah,
you have until that 4th year.
I'm looking way too far ahead. Just a quick question. Don't even think too hard about this, but ponder this. If Brock Purdy, all right, if the 49ers do not win a Super Bowl while Brock Purdy is on his rookie contract, by the time he's eligible for an extension, if you don't win it, do you give him an extension?
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you don't win it with Purdy, if you don't win it with Purdy, does that mean that you need Patrick Mahomes? Is that what that means? You know what I mean?
I think this is where a certain person deserves the respect that he hasn't gotten as much as he deserves.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who I'm talking about?
Shanahan?
Yeah. Shanahan is a big reason for Purdy, and Purdy is a big reason for the success. But as long as Purdy plays the way that he's playing, you guys will be successful. If you have to, allow Trent Williams and Deebo Samuel and maybe Talanoa Hufanga and Chavarius Ward to leave in 3 years from now, by then you might have drafted at least 2 of their replacements. And you still have Purdy and specifically Kyle Shanahan's offense. And maybe by then McCaffrey might be older and not as efficient and yada yada. But again, you might have drafted their replacement by then. So I just think as long as Purdy is playing as well as he is, there's absolutely zero reason, paired with Shanahan, who deserves a lot of credit for what is happening with this team. There's no reason to try to replace him. Like, you guys struck gold. You have 3 years to really enjoy that striking gold, and then even after that, you should still be celebrating it because he'll probably end up becoming, so long as Shanahan doesn't get silly and try to replace him because, cheap quarterback contracts, yada, yada. I'm so good at doing this. I'm going to draft another guy and totally hit gold again when Trey Lance didn't work out. It would be wise to just settle with striking gold and let it play out. And chances are Brock Purdy will end up being one of your top 3 all-time quarterbacks in franchise history.
I agree. I think you have to sign Purdy, but I guess I was sort of thinking like, all right, the Niners have the best roster, the best, one of the best play callers. They have everything. And if you don't win, all these play callers and everything, all these superstars are going to get old. And if Purdy can't win with these guys, who can he win with? That was just the question that, sort of popped in my mind. It's like, do you need an absolute bona fide top 5 quarterback in order to win? I think Purdy's absolutely top 10. And I'm not saying you can't win with Purdy. I honestly believe the 49ers will win the Super Bowl this year. And it's very early to say that, and a lot of shit can happen between now and the Super Bowl, right?
Namely a quarterback.
We've had bad luck for God knows how long. So yeah, I'm gonna look stupid probably by February for me saying this, but I really think I believe it in my heart more than I've ever believed it before that it's our year.
Yeah, it is early, and I don't blame you at all for feeling that way. And based off of what I see, even leading up to the Cowboys game, but especially post Cowboys game, it's just like, dude, there is not a team that's better than this, but I do feel that there are teams that can still
rival it.
rival it. Yeah, I think the Chiefs any given Sunday can beat anybody. That's a fact. Because they have great coaches and obviously great players. I think the Bills can do it. Not that I think the Bills are better, just I think they can. I know maybe you might really disagree with this, but I think the Dolphins can. And obviously the Eagles. But
Well, I think
other
the
than that,
Dolphins can rival the Niners. Like I didn't see the Dolphins game, and you know I know they lost. Did they lose last week? Was it
yeah,
last week when they lost?
last week to the Bills fucking killed them. But then this
Yeah.
week they came
So
back and they scored like 40 again or something. I
I
think.
could see where the Niners lose it on defense, but I can tell you for damn sure this offense is not going to lose them football games,
No, yeah. But I'm just saying I could
or at
see
least
certain
not
teams.
many, because
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
it's
just possible. That's all I'm saying. It's possible that another team like the Bills, Chiefs, Dolphins, Eagles can go in there, not get a turnover, just play very efficient. I mean, they have to be essentially perfect at this rate with this Niners team. They'd have to play perfect, and they'd have to force turnovers.
mhm.
It can happen.
I mean, yeah,
So,
it could
can.
definitely happen.
But I'm not saying it's very likely right now.
You wouldn't
That's for
bet on
sure.
it, right?
No,
So
not right now. No.
yeah.
So
And I feel like in the next topic, when I preview the Browns, I'm going to completely contradict myself a little bit. But before we get to the Browns game, I just want to quickly mention the players who played extremely well in the Cowboys game. George Kittle had a hell of a game. He had 3 touchdowns. I want to say he had 3 catches for 3 touchdowns. He went crazy. Shit. And then after that, he pulls up his jersey and he's wearing a "Fuck Dallas" shirt. I love it because I forget who the player was, but there's this famous Niner picture of this player holding up his jersey. He's got the "Fuck Dallas" shirt, like the exact same one that Kittle was wearing. So, I thought that was pretty cool. Purdy played.
I just got to say, Micah Parsons has a podcast, and I don't know what it's called, but I know he was on his podcast, today, I think, and it was mentioned to him about the George Kittle T-shirt, and I forget the terminology of what he said, but basically along the lines of,
"You're making it personal."
He said that?
Yeah, he said. He said. Here, I'll play it right now. I'll put it on.
Okay. Because he had a quote that was very good.
Okay, let's see here. Let me share my screen. Can you see it?
Yeah.
George Kittle had 3 touchdowns on us, and he posted this thing to IG. He said F Dallas. I just feel like he's making it way more personal than it had to be. Kittle's my guy, but I'm going to say this. Laugh now, cry later. We got something for that. Just trust. If we see them again, just trust. And we're going to put it just like that. I ain't going to put too much on it. You're going to make it personal. We can make it personal. That's cool. George.
Hey, man. You start doing that shit and you start poking at the bear, you're asking for shit. That's all I'm saying. I think you meet them in the playoffs, it's going to become way more personal for them for little shit like that in the regular season in week 5 when your team is clearly the best in football. And when you have everybody, down on their knees and beating the shit out of them, then you start taunting them and stuff. It's like, okay, well, we'll see later. We'll see.
I'm sorry, Mike, but there's nothing that the Dallas Cowboys are going to be able to do to this 49ers team.
Well, we'll see.
It was 42-10.
Right.
Like,
we'll see.
Dog, if you're making it personal. They bounced you from the playoffs 2 years in a row. It wasn't personal? What's going to motivate you more to want to beat them?
Doing little shit
Because
like
of
that.
a fucking t-shirt? Come
Yeah.
on.
Yes, it's only gonna get more personal. I'm not saying
Dude.
Dallas will beat you guys. I'm just saying if you guys face them in the playoffs, that's gonna be a fucking bloodbath.
For them.
Oh, all around. All around. You guys will probably win, but all around it will be a bloodbath.
I'm sorry, but like I understand, he's offended. I think Micah Parsons is too young to understand the reference of the picture of the guy holding the fuck Dallas t-shirt. It's literally a reference to that. Like, I don't know. If you don't want Kittle to talk shit after the game, hey, stop him. Aren't you supposed to be one of the best defensive players in the league? I know that you don't cover Kittle, but get your guys in order.
Yeah, he's not the coach, which is probably their problem. McCarthy's offense looks like shit, but I don't know. It must be nice to have the best team in football right now, because if I were in a similar situation with my team, I wouldn't want my players doing that in week 5. I just wouldn't.
Yeah,
because I know how my luck runs out.
Yeah. What did Fonzie, I just saw in the comments, he said Dak was mad, remember? One of the reporters asked Dak a question reminding him of the last time they saw the Niners, they got eliminated from the playoffs, and he said something along the lines of like, "Oh, you're gonna bring that up?" Yeah, like used it as like a chip on his shoulder. Like, all right, I don't care. There's not gonna be a chip on your shoulder big enough to defend this team. The laugh now, cry later could happen years down the line. You know what I mean? If they meet in the playoffs, I'm sorry, the Cowboys are getting spanked again.
Okay.
Mike.
Okay,
someone clip this. Someone clip this. Come on.
No, I'm not saying you guys won't lose. I'm just saying, like, it must be nice to feel that confident and cocky. Very cocky.
Dude, did you not see the game on Sunday night?
No,
I did. How could I not feel cocky?
Yeah.
It's like, it's not even a matter of being cocky or anything. Like it's
okay,
just...
Here's my thing with Niner fans. Here's my thing.
They don't match up well.
Here's my thing with Niner fans. This goes family members, friends, and just hearing fans. Okay? You guys could be at the top of the fucking world and you'll still complain about your head coach. A lot. At the very same time, you guys will get tremendously cocky. Tremendously. It's
okay.
Like, I don't know.
When recently have I complained about Shanahan? Recently.
Well, it probably dates back to Trey Lance getting traded and stuff, but
yeah, that was about it. That's really all I've ever complained about Shanahan, and then also the fact that it's been how many years and we still don't have a Super Bowl, and he's supposed to be a genius. Win it already. We have the best team. And I think it's finally gonna happen. And we fucking mopped the floor with the Dallas Cowboys. And they have a good they have a good team. It wasn't like the Cowboys suck and we're over here like, just sort of rubbing it in their face. I think we learned more about the Niners than we did about the Cowboys. People are calling the Cowboys frauds. No, the Cowboys are exactly like, who we thought they were. They're a pretty good team, but the Niners are just in another stratosphere. That's just my honest belief, dude. And maybe the Niners don't win the Super Bowl, but I would be very hard-pressed to believe that the Cowboys are just going to sort of flip this switch and make the 49ers regret pulling up their jersey and revealing a t-shirt that said "Fuck Dallas."
Yeah, I've seen it before. I mean, we've seen a undefeated team go to the Super Bowl and lose to a team that I want to say the Giants might have been a wild card team. Any given Sunday is one of my firm beliefs in football. Yes, you're the best team in football, all that. But first off, it's week 5. We'll see how the playoffs go. But all I was getting at was just you're really kicking them while they're down, and if they come back and get another shot at you guys, they will give you everything that they possibly can in a playoff game.
Okay, but
I think in week 5, when it's quarter 3 and you're already down like 30-10 or 30-3 or whatever it was, you can just throw in the fucking towel. Who cares? We lost. In the playoffs, it's not going to be like that. Anyways.
But hold on. Look, this was the reference. So I think Micah Parsons, since he's young, does not understand this reference. I forget who this player is, but this is like a classic picture. Right? And it's no secret that the 49ers and Cowboys have, I mean, they're arch rivals, right? So keeping a rivalry going by doing rivalry things is, in my opinion, that's fine. That's how you sell the game. I feel Micah Parsons took it in a way as if they were taking a shot at him. Like, yeah, it's at your team, but like Kittle didn't go on like a press run after the game. You know, I didn't watch the post game press conference, but you would have heard if Kittle was like talking shit, like, oh, you know, that team over there is really fucking bad, you know, shit like that. Like, all he did was reveal the shirt, and it's just classic. Niner fans hate the Cowboys, and Cowboy fans hate the Niners. It's just it's a rivalry. So I don't think Kittle's making it personal. I just think that he is keeping the rivalry the tradition that it should be.
Yeah. I guess I should explain. You know my thinking towards the NFL, towards anything that is sports, right? What am I always the fan of if it's not the Raiders?
The Lions,
No. But, well, that goes in hand
the
with
underdog.
the underdog. I'm always a fan of the underdog, and I can tell you I'm not a very big fan in competition in anything of essentially kicking people while they're down. I just think it's kind of cheap. Like, and I think my point here is if the role was reversed and it was 42-10 Dallas, you're not seeing that undershirt. You know, you saw the undershirt because he just scored his 3rd touchdown, and it was now 42-10 or 37 or whatever it was. You know what I mean? And it's not like lifting your shirt is literally kicking a player while he's down, but it's like it's cockiness that has been earned, but it's also like, for me and my opinion of sport, it's like that just makes me want you to lose, you know?
I mean, so be it, but like for me as a fan of the 49ers, I think it was fun. It's fun. I don't want to see like robots just like, you know, playing the game, it being all robotic. These are humans. We have human emotions. There's backstories to the game. That'll just make the next game like, you know, that much more exciting, right?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, last time they did this, because back in the day, before the Niners ever won their first Super Bowl, the Cowboys, I think, had a statement game against the Niners and Bill Walsh's team and Joe Montana, and the Niners got embarrassed. And then the next year they came back, and it was the NFC Championship game, and that's when the catch happened, and the 49ers jump-started their dynasty. And Bill Walsh said, you know, from what I remember from the Joe Montana documentary, Bill Walsh was like, I want you guys to remember this. He wanted them to remember that they got their asses kicked and they weren't going to lose to Dallas again.
Yeah.
So, I mean, did the Niners make them pay that same season? No. The next season, yeah. And maybe Dallas later down the line. I mean, they have Trey Lance. Trey Lance could end up being a franchise quarterback haunting the 49ers for years to come. and then they can be rocking their fuck SF, shirts. If the Niners would have gotten spanked by Dallas, damn well every Cowboy fan would just be talking shit about the Niners. So it's just, it's a fun rivalry is what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So no matter what side, whoever would be kicking the other while they're down.
Yeah, I don't know if the players fully would. And I'm not saying like all the players in the Niners were. And the last thing I'll say about it is just George Kittle is also very like WWE, so this is kind of like his thing, I think. Like not in a negative way, like he is very performative, And
Yes.
I've always loved Kittle, so that like this doesn't change my view on him or anything. It's just it's a rivalry, and it's kind of expected that you might see them in the playoffs. It's a little ballsy, but again, like I think I saw one of the comments from Fonzie say, that's what being at the highest level entails. Like when you are the best team in football, you can go out there and be confident and cocky and show for it, and prove it and continue to win. So if they can do that and they end up going and winning the Super Bowl, all right, good on you. But, if you are the cocky team and the shit smirk team all season that's just continuously pummeling teams, and you end games with lifting your shirt and fuck this team, or, going in the end zones and doing whatever, just beating up on teams and doing whatever you're doing, and then you go in the NFC Championship or Super Bowl and lose, you will hear it from that team that beats you and from all the fans. You will hear it. Oh,
yeah, so boy. Don't let them beat you.
Yeah.
And like I said, right now, I don't know if this Niner team is going to lose anytime soon, but we'll talk about that in the next topic. But for now, just sort of other instances. I've been on the other end of it, Mike, as a 49er fan. I had to live with the Seahawks for like the past 10 years, like the past like 12, 13 years. And you know what I had to hear? I'm the best corner in the game. Don't you ever try me with a sorry receiver like Crabtree. That's the results you're going to get. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, all right, I was sure that the Niners would come back and, okay, you're going to get what's coming to you. And it never fucking happened. It never happened.
Not for a long time, yeah. Yeah,
I mean, for 10 years, like 2019.
Yeah,
but
and like I said, I had to explain my sense of fandom for sports because I'm an Oakland and now Las Vegas Raider fan who has endured through 15 years of suffering as a fan, just hoping for my team to win a playoff game that they have not done. An Oakland A's fan, a deteriorating Oakland A's fan. I don't even consider myself an Oakland A's fan right now. I really don't, because they've not even that they've consistently sucked. I mean, back in like 2014 or whatever, they were great, but for 1 year. But they would never win a playoff series. It's just like I'm a fan of these franchises, minus the Golden State Warriors, which I'm not all that into basketball like that. It was fun, but they got KD and it kind of just ruined it for me. Like it was like, well, now it's just expected. And like I said, I wasn't that into it, but it's like the two teams that I've cared about most in my life are the Raiders and the A's, and they've always been the underdog. And it's like I've just never gotten to see it. So I just had to explain where I'm coming from, essentially. So my teams have gone through that shit. I'm just used to my teams not making the playoffs or getting to the playoffs and getting shat on. So I'd love to see my teams be that great team that can kick them while they're down, but I'm just going to know once they start doing it, I'm going to be like, dude, not smart. Not smart, because with my luck, it will bite me in the ass.
Don't tell me you wouldn't love for the Raiders to finally be dominant one day and then kick the shit out of either the Chiefs or the Broncos or whatever, and then somebody lift up and it's a fuck Denver or fuck Kansas City. Don't
I'd
tell
love
me
it.
you wouldn't eat it up. Like,
Oh, I
you
would.
know,
Yeah, I would love it, but I would also be standing there going, "Okay, you better hope you don't play them later, because any given Sunday." I would
I
love it
mean,
as a fan, yes, but I would also sit there knowing that that just made it more personal, like Michael Parsons said.
mhm.
It just made it more
Yeah,
personal.
but it's like you said, it's what goes around comes around, or sort of what you've been implying is what goes around comes around, and I don't know if what's going to come around is going to come around anytime soon with this Niner team. I know that eventually this Niner team isn't. I mean, there's going to be years where we're not good again. Like it's inevitable to happen. But like I said with the Seahawks thing, like I endured that. I endured literally the season after. I'm like, oh, the Niners are gonna make them pay, and then like they're freaking celebrating eating turkey on Thanksgiving. After completely like curb stomping the Niners on Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah.
And so it's just one of those things where now we can take our victory laps. And so you might as well take your victory laps while, like Fonzie said, when you're at the top or you feel that you're at the top, just have fun with it. Enjoy it while you're there. And I understand it's hard for, because you you I think you have the reluctance to get too high because you've really believed in the Raiders a couple of years where you're like, "Oh, you know what? This could actually happen." Like 2016, you were feeling really good about that Raider team. And then all of a sudden it just changed. Like one play can change it all.
Yeah, and that was actually something I was going to say. I don't know if Brock Purdy has been sacked yet this season. I feel like he hasn't.
No, he's been sacked.
He has, like, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I've seen it. He got sacked a couple times against the Cowboys, or at least once.
Right, and probably the Steelers with T.J. Watt. But I just what you said something, or maybe I just thought to myself, like, has Purdy been sacked? When we were talking about when you said anything can happen, between now and the playoffs, and it's like I mentioned, the Eagles game where you guys lose 3 quarterbacks and it completely wrecked the game. What I immediately thought of, in the statement of anything can happen between now and playoffs or NFC Championship or Super Bowl, I thought of Derek Carr in 2016 when Donald Penn didn't give up a single sack the entire year. And then against the Colts in the third quarter or fourth quarter, I'm forgetting Trent Cole gets a nice little spin move on Donald Penn, gets the sack, wraps up Derek Carr, and in the process breaks his fibula. The one sack that Donald Penn gave up, one play changed their season. And I wasn't expecting the Super Bowl, but I was expecting a playoff win, finally, in my life. And it was ripped right away. We faced the fucking Texans. And that Texans team was, I think their quarterback was TJ, I don't even remember his last name. TJ something. If anybody remembers, that'd be great. But yeah, I'm pretty sure their quarterback was TJ something. He's essentially the old version of their current backup from Stanford, the guy that was starting last year.
I thought
Davis
the quarterback.
Mills. It wasn't Watson.
No, I thought the quarterback for the Texans that year was Matt Schaub.
No, because Matt Schaub was the quarterback who Derek Carr replaced, remember? Matt Schaub finished with the Raiders. And this was like year 2 or 3 with the, Derek Carr experience in Oakland. TJ I keep wanting to say TJ Bell. It's a short last name I want to say.
I keep wanting to say TJ Yeldon, but he was a running back, right?
Yes. Okay, hold on. Texans.
While you look up
Yates. TJ Yates.
Yeah, I was close with the Y.
Yeah, once you said yell, I was like, what? And then, yeah, I was like, nah, it's running back.
Yeah.
But that's what that reminded me of, was just you guys could be, like Trent Williams could go this entire season without giving up a sack, and then knock on wood, week 16 against whatever team, Brock Purdy goes down. Like anything, Christian, anybody, it could happen, and then it's changed, right?
Yeah.
That's what I thought of earlier. But
at least, all right. You knowing me, I am very pessimistic typically about like the chances and everything. Like I was reluctant to appoint the 49ers until I saw Brock Purdy and what he was able to do. And then like I've literally seen him come in, and I thought like maybe he peaked last season, but no, he's playing even better this season than last season.
he's playing more efficiently. Like I said, the difference for this team compared to like 2019 is the offense, and specifically it is Purdy. And that could lead towards him getting the MVP. I also think McCaffrey is the big change. The other big difference. He could get the MVP. Their defense is not the strong suit this year. It's the offense, but their defense is arguably the best in the league. It's insane how good they are right now. But
yeah, but let's see. Let's get to recapping our predictions from last week on here. So we both predicted Niners, and I guess what goes around is going to come around to us because we're over here talking shit. No, I'm going to go ahead and fix this to D7. And we are both perfect picking the Niners every week. And you know, Mike, if you really feel like Niner fans are too cocky, why don't you pick against them?
Well,
you haven't had a week yet where you pick against them, huh?
Yeah.
I'm just being an asshole. Let's get to some comments, and then we'll get to our final topic. Real quick, I have a couple starred. So Fonzie says the player in that picture is Gary Plummer, the original, fuck Dallas one.
Mm.
And then also I mentioned that we mopped the floor with the Cowboys, and he said, did we use Fabuloso or Mr. Clean? Oh my God, that's hilarious. Trey shaved his head down like like a buzz cut, or like a buzz fade, and so he's almost kind of bald, but Prescott's kind of got the bald look. So I'm gonna go ahead and say we used Mr. Clean because just keeping the whole bald thing. Let's see here. You saw it on Kittle's shirt because it was him. Because to him, he's been a part of the rivalry that's been refreshed. And I also felt the same way about it too. So I agree with you there.
I get it as the callback for sure. And I also get it in the sense like the Cowboys are this annoying team that always gets all the media coverage, and most of the time they don't deserve it, and the Niners have owned the Cowboys the past, well, as long as this refreshed rivalry really has begun, so.
Well, I think regular season, that might have been the first time the Niners have beat the Cowboys at Levi's in the regular season.
Maybe. I wouldn't know.
But, I mean, it's just that these two teams have inflicted a lot of pain on each other. They've, had a lot of, like historic moments against one another. Yeah. So where they've eliminated each other from the playoffs as well. And, this, that, and the other. Right. So it's just been like one of those, it originated in the 80s and is like still a huge thing because our parents won't ever stop talking about it. It's like one of those things. So it's been refreshed, I'd say. But like at the same time, not really, because they don't play in the same division. They won't play like every season, although they have the past 3 seasons. And, I sort of had this feeling like the past couple of years, or like ever since I've been watching football, where I thought man, do the Seahawks view us the way that we view them? You know what I mean? Like, do Seahawks fans look at it as much as a rivalry as we do? Because it's like the Niners Seahawks thing over the past, like, ever since I've been watching football has been pretty one-sided in the Seahawks' favor. So, like, to them, it's just like, oh, we're playing the Niners. You know what I mean? But to us, it's like, oh, all this shit that's happened, it's personal. You know what I mean? Something that I just thought about.
Right. Well, at what felt like the beginning of the Seahawks like power, the Niners were right there with them to try to stop them, but usually wouldn't. And I feel like it's always been it has to be. They look at it like a rivalry, especially now when the Niners are winning consistently.
Mike, your knock on wood sounds like a please, baby Jesus.
Well, I wouldn't wish injury on anybody, and especially not McCaffrey or Purdy. So
yeah. Fonzie, if you're tuning out, thank you so much for tuning in. We're almost wrapped up here. We're gonna get to one more of your comment, and then we're gonna get to our last topic of the day. But I have customers that were season ticket holders that have said that they didn't get consideration on ticket renewals once they moved to Las Vegas. These West Coast fans were left out. That's a whole nother can of worms, man.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's probably because it's a new stadium and they had PSLs, but yeah, it's a whole different can of worms. So,
I was talking to Pia's dad the other day, and Pia's dad mentioned something about, like, back in the day, because I think we mentioned that the Raider game wasn't televised locally. He said that back in the day, Al Davis used to threaten not putting the game on local television if they didn't sell enough tickets. So that would encourage people to buy tickets and go to the game. And even though, it would be sold out, sometimes they still wouldn't even put it on local television.
yeah, I do remember being in middle school, and there were games in like 2008, 2009, maybe even 2010, where they were playing at home and the game was blacked out, like could not watch locally. And I can't tell you for a fact whether or not that was Al Davis's call or what. I don't know. I don't know who gets the power to make that decision. But I do remember it having to do with the game not being sold out. I do know that. I do remember that, I should say.
That sucks, dude. That's trash.
Well, bear in mind, I mean, if that was Al Davis's call, it's pretty dickheaded because he had run that franchise into the fucking ground between 2003 and 2008, 2009. It was like they went to the Super Bowl 2002, and then 2003 and on, it just kind of went downhill. Rich Gannon leaves. They get rid of Charles Woodson and yada yada. Cable companies, regional coverage. Yeah, I mean, that's what I figured. I don't understand how a game can't be put on TV because I know it happened. I know it happened in Oakland, specifically between like 2007 to 10. It happened. Yeah, I just I don't know. I totally lost my point there.
Well, you ran the team into the ground.
Yeah, and it got capped off with, like, our all-time low was drafting Jamarcus Russell and what that caused for the franchise. And then Al Davis passed in 2011, I think, and Richard McKenzie came in, fixed the cap issues, yada yada yada. Derek Carr, yada yada yada. Different coaches. Finally, here we are in Vegas. And like I think I might have seen. I know we're talking about the Niners. I'm not going to keep going. Just it's interesting with local coverage, and I'm really curious what the answer is to all that about Al Davis and blacking out games. But like I said, I'm pretty sure it had to do with not selling out the games. And my whole point to that was just, well, what do you expect when from 2003 to 2009 or whatever, you are the worst run franchise in football, like for a fact, besides maybe the Texans at that point.
Mm-hmm. Also, Fonzie, we're talking about when they were still in Oakland. I know, we sort of understand, like last week, we weren't happy about it in terms of like the Raider game not being televised locally, because even though they're in Vegas, the fan base, most of them reside in the Bay Area. So it's like there's no excuse as to why it shouldn't be broadcast as opposed to like the Colts and the Rams game, like you mentioned.
Yeah, like in LA, they should play Raider games as much as possible. But I understand if they don't, because you have two teams in LA. You have the Rams and the Chargers, right? In the Bay Area, I understand to a degree if it's like, well, you were always going to get two 10 a.m. games because that's when most of the games are played. And then you're going to get only one 1 p.m. game. And if that's the Niners, it's going to be the Niners, right? I understand that. But you would think that they'd be able to accommodate and say, hey, let's do one 10 a.m. game, two 1 p.m. games, because the views are going to go to that second 1 p.m. game, which has the Raiders. But I don't know how they think. So,
yeah. And, this is a great question. Are they going to abide by the fans or what the cable companies agreed to? Like, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's self-explanatory. They're going to go by what they agree to. But I just think that their agreement is stupid, and I don't like it.
Yeah, I'm sure that there are contracts or terminologies or whatever you want to call it that force this to happen. It's just unfortunate.
Plot twist. How Fonzie said last week that he worked for Dish before? Plot twist. Fonzie created this agreement so that Raider fans couldn't enjoy games. We know it was you, Fonzie. We know why you're watching us. No, I'm just playing. Let's go ahead and preview the 49ers versus Browns Week 6 matchup. I feel like as a whole, the Cowboys are probably a better team than the Browns. Like top to bottom, maybe on the roster. But I feel like the Browns match up a little bit better with the 49ers. And a real big thing about this game is I don't know if Deshaun Watson is going to play or not. And I think that is probably going to be a big factor in the game. It might be Watson, or it might be the rookie 5th round pick, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, out of UCLA. But, I think the way I see this game playing out is, it's a 10 a.m. game over in the East Coast. They're playing in Cleveland. The Browns have a really good defense, and Myles Garrett is a force on that defensive line. So I don't know if the Browns, I don't know if the Niners are going to be able to establish the run game effectively, because I know the Cowboys were able to sort of limit McCaffrey to like 2-point-something yards per carry. And, the Niners were just good enough. Purdy was extremely efficient, and they were able to just march all over and get what they wanted. I see this game as possibly not a reality check, but my gut is telling me it's going to be very slow at first, and then the 49ers are going to pull away in the end because they're just the more talented football team. The Browns have a great defense, as I mentioned already, but it could be one of those slow defensive battles to start off, and then I think the Niners will get their groove. I'm trying to remember, how did it go against Pittsburgh week 1? Did the Niners just like dominate that game like from start to finish, or was it like slow at the beginning?
I'm pretty sure you guys just dominated.
Yeah,
Like 30 to
it was
7.
yeah
They didn't get a touchdown until like the second or third quarter when Fryermuth did like the weird celebration.
yeah.
So
I'm picking the Niners to win this game because I still haven't seen them lose a game, but I feel like this might be. I mean, aside from Philadelphia last season, well, I'm not even going to say that, but this will be one of the premier defenses that they will have faced with Purdy. And I look forward to seeing Purdy overcome that. And I really think that the Niners can, I don't know if they'll put up 30 this week, is the thing.
that's what I was going to say.
Like they have been putting up 30 damn near every week, but I don't know if they put up,
every week, at least.
No, but I'm saying ever since Purdy took over, there were, like last year against Dallas, Niners only put up 19.
Right.
But yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if the Niners put up 30.
Yeah,
but
I wouldn't either.
If they do, maybe it has something to do with Watson not being healthy and the offense can't, the Cleveland offense can't stay on the field and the Niners offense is just on the field and they're just going to keep scoring. But I got the Niners, sort of a slow game, and then they pull away. How do you see it going down, Mike?
Yeah, that's kind of exactly how I see it as well. I was going to mention, like, this might be the first game this season and maybe one of the few where they score less than 30. I could see it being like 24 to 13, but maybe like the way I could see it playing out is like end of first quarter 7-3, end of the first half 14 to 10, and like the Browns are sticking in it. It's like, oh shit. But then in the third quarter it's 21 to 10, and then fourth quarter 24 to 13 or whatever I said. And it's like, as the game progresses, they just slowly pull away and it becomes too much for the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
So. But I could also see it being 34 to 10. They just kill them, essentially.
I'm going to go ahead and make a very bold statement. If Dorian Thompson-Robinson plays, I think the Niners will drop 30, and I don't think the Browns score a touchdown.
Yeah, well, I'd say the better bet is that the Niners would definitely score 30 if Dorian Thompson-Robinson plays, because they'll just get a bunch of 3-and-outs and it'll give the Niners way more opportunities to score points. They'll easily score points, but maybe the Browns still get a touchdown at some point. But
yeah, so I think Fonzie feels the same way that I do about, like, maybe they don't score 30. So this might be the week, but if we do, it'll end 38 to 17. I've got it more like, if we do, it'll be like 34 to 3.
Yeah, I could see like 31 to 10.
I don't know if that backup quarterback is going to be good enough to score a touchdown on this defense.
Well, I think what he's saying, I was under the assumption of Watson. If it's Dorian Thompson-Robinson, it's they won't score a touchdown. No, I don't think.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I think what he's saying here is he doesn't think it's going to be one of those weeks. I think this is one of the weeks we don't do it, like score 30.
Yeah,
I think
score 30. Yeah,
but if we do, 38-17. So yeah.
But if it is DTR, they're not gonna score a touchdown. That's my prediction.
If it's DTR, it's like 38 might be like the bare minimum.
No, I'm still firmly keeping it in the 30s. I don't know.
The interesting aspect
My gut isn't telling me it's a 40 bomb.
Yeah, the interesting aspect to this game is the Browns defense, but also the fact that this is being played in Cleveland.
Mhm.
So no, yeah, I was thinking for a second. Oh, no, did the Browns just have a bye week?
They did.
Okay, so that's interesting. They get an extra week of rest leading up to this game. I think Watson plays because he was like a game time decision essentially a week ago.
Mhm.
Like how is he not going to be ready? But if they don't want him to get killed, I guess it would be wise. But
Mhm. I've
I
already
think
got
he'll
the
play.
thumbnail. I've already got the thumbnail made. I sent it to you earlier. Maybe I should sit out one more week.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to expect if Watson plays, but I think 38-17 would be a good prediction if Watson plays. So I think you might be on the money, Fonzie. Yeah. And then Fonzie said my 34-3 prediction, if it is DTR, is a good one. So I mean, I would be pretty happy if that was the final score. But yeah, so final prediction, Niners. You?
Niners as well.
Okay. All
I
right.
hope it's an interesting game and it's close, but I doubt it.
Yeah. We're going to take our final comments and then, I mean, that's the show. Let's see here. Fonzie said, talking about the whole cable companies, I agree. I missed many Kings game throughout the season. So I'm assuming,
Sacramento.
yeah. So I'm just trying to think, like, aren't the Kings typically on over here in the Bay Area? Like, they're on the other Comcast Sports Net or NBC Sports channel, like NBC
I
Sports California, not
Yeah,
Bay
I wouldn't
Area.
really know that well with basketball. I'm pretty sure I can't really speak to it.
Mhm.
My mom lives in the Sacramento area, so I know they're on up there.
Mhm. Fonzie says he appreciates me remembering that the whole Dish Network thing. We appreciate you checking out the stream and commenting and giving us your feedback, sharing your thoughts. It's really nice to have live comments, live
Yeah.
chat. So we really appreciate it. And yeah, it is the NFL though, so any given Sunday, I mean, for all we know, the Cleveland Browns can just come out and absolutely surprise the 49ers, and then we're going to be feeling like shit and that we're not going to win the Super Bowl this year.
Well, I don't know about that. It's just that will happen once this season. I don't think they're going to come out and like smack you guys or whoever it happens to be, but somebody's going to come out and beat the Niners, and it's going to be like, whoa, where did that come from? But you guys are like I said, the best team in football. It won't matter. It'll just be like, oh, I guess we're not going undefeated.
17-0 with a Super Bowl. Book it. Book it.
Man, I mean, this feels like one of the best potential teams to possibly do that. I think we can't really start thinking that until we see the Eagles game in Week 13. Once we've seen that game, then we can start like really being on watch for that. I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If the game is a close game and it comes down to like the Eagles have to gain 1 yard to get into the end zone, I'm just going to turn it off. If it's like the final play, and they line up in tush push formation, I'm breaking my TV.
Yeah, well, again, it's not a playoff game, so.
I'm kind of kidding about the 17-0, but so far I'm not going to pick against the Niners until like something drastic happens.
Yeah, I think my thinking with that is simply, you guys have looked so good that if it just stays consistent and it's 30 or more points every week and the defense stays this good, like it's more realistic than you would think.
Mm-hmm.
So
one week at a time. This week got the Niners. That would put us at 6-0, and I would feel pretty good going into the following week. You know what? I would accept a losing record if it meant a Super Bowl. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll take 5 losing records if it means having a shot at winning a fucking playoff game for my Raiders. So, yeah.
But last comment, and then we got to go. Yeah, this is about the Kings. When they go into the smaller markets, they don't get aired. That sucks. I couldn't imagine like paying for cable and having that issue of like, oh, the reason why I paid for cable is to watch my favorite team, and then they don't get put on TV.
Yeah, they go to Charlotte and it's like, well,
Yeah. That's when I would become probably the biggest Karen ever. I would go full on Karen. I would go backwards hat. Like, I need to speak to your manager. Like, Mike,
yeah.
you know how I'm the haggler? I could probably pass as a pretty mean Karen.
Yeah. The one thing that is a positive, at least for the NFL, is they have NFL Sunday Ticket. I don't think the NBA or MLB have anything like that. So
I think they do.
damn. I mean, if
I
they
think
do,
NBA TV. I think it's like almost the exact same thing as Sunday Ticket, where it's in MLB TV, where you get every game except for your local market.
Still, I mean, that's pretty fucking fire because that's a lot of games.
Yeah. Whereas Sunday Ticket, it's like once a week.
It's one day. That's why, to me, it's like not as worth it. Like, if I were a huge baseball or basketball fan, it'd be like, hell yeah.
I need to speak to your manager like yesterday.
Like yesterday.
That's awesome. On that note, got the Niners again, over the Browns. And, we appreciate Fonzie, Chicano, Joel, everybody else who tuned in to watch the stream. We really appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing your comments on the videos that get posted, or if you guys comment on this live stream after, we'll take a look at it. And until next time, Mike, you have any last thoughts?
No.
Nope. Okay, good. No.
I don't.
Yeah. All right. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you.